So in a rare turn of events, all of chapter 1044 has been leaked, at least in its text form. So we're going to be going over everything in this video. So let's get into it. Chapter starts with Luffy talking. Although we cannot see him up close, the sound of drums is getting louder. Luffy says, "What happened? Why? How am I able to get up if I lost? I suddenly feel so much fun." So at the end of the previous chapter, we saw Luffy and Kaido having like their final exchange until out of nowhere the CP0 came out and distracted Luffy, allowing Kaido to get like his one big last bonk on him. And he was seemingly defeated at that point. I mean, even the narration said so, until the very end of the chapter when we saw Luffy seemingly coming back to life, but it looked like he was like melting and he had like this smile coming from his face, and that's where we're coming to now. Zunisha is still with the world government ships in the sea near Wano. Momonosuke looks at the roof of Onigashima. He's very upset and even trembles. Momonosuke says, "Joy Boy? Do you mean Luffy?" And Yamato says, "Is that what Zunisha said?" And in the pleasure hall of the left brain tower, we see that someone is taking care of Sanji. He is lying on a futon. Suddenly, Sanji gets up because he senses something and looks up. Sanji says, "Ha, Luffy." On the live floor, Luffy's allies are also feeling something. Kid, Law, and Hyogoro look up. Kid says, "What?" And Hyogoro says, "Ah, is that Straw Hat?" Marco also feels something and tells it to Nami and Tama, who are crying as they hug. Marco says, "Straw Hat? Hey, he's still breathing." We travel now to the holy land of Marijois, to the Room of Authority in Pangaea Castle. Gorosei continues talking about the situation in Wano. One of them wonders if it's worth losing a top agent and anger Kaido. Gorosei with the dreadlocks replies that it's worth it, especially considering the future that this situation may lead to. Samurai Gandhi says that the world government tries to keep the Gomu Gomu no Mi with them in every era, but somehow the fruit always gets away, and 800 years have passed. Gorosei with the big beard and mustache says, "It's like if that devil fruit tries to escape from them." Gorosei with the spot on his head says, "It is possible, since we know Zoan fruits have minds of their own, and that fruit has the name of a god." The other name of the Gomu Gomu no Mi is, and the blonde Gorosei says, "Hito Hito no Mi, human fruit, mythical Zoan, model Nika." As the Gorosei says this, in a magnificent and epic double page, we see the silhouette of Luffy with the full moon in the background. His silhouette is identical to Nika's without weapons in his hands. Although we only see a black silhouette, it's clear that Luffy is laughing. In addition, the sound of the drums continues. The Gorosei continues speaking as we see a close-up of the silhouette of Luffy's face. He's laughing. Gorosei says his body has the properties of rubber and he can fight in any way he wishes, making people smile wherever he goes. He is the warrior of liberation, also known as Nika, the sun god. Awakening will give the rubber body even more strength and freedom. It is said that it's the most ridiculous power in the world. Alright, so yeah, we found this out in the spoilers yesterday, the truth behind the rubber fruit. And yeah, it turns out that it still is rubber, I suppose. It's not like oil or resin or anything like that. Cut to the treasure hall on the second floor of Onigashima's castle. Orochi is still trapped under the rubble. Orochi says, "Hey Hiyori, I appreciated Odin too. I was used by Kaido. Let's run away from here together. Now take the needles off." And Hiyori says, "My father kept his promise, right? He believed in the promise you and Kaido made to him to free Wano. During 5 years, my father was dancing in a funny way. Even against his family, my father kept his promise. He believed in the promise to free them all. He even endured 1 hour burning in burning oil. He was always laughing, even if the life of an entire country was hijacked. My father endured all the pain alone." We see a small flashback between Odin and Hiyori. Odin says, "What's wrong, Hiyori?" And Hiyori says, "Father, are you fine with everybody talking bad about you?" And Odin says, "Yeah, I'm fine with it. Why do you ask?" "That's because I've got you guys by my side." Hiyori says, "Really? Then let's stay together forever." Back to the present, Orochi talks now, and he says, "Oh yes, Odin was such a great samurai. As a shogun, I shall honor your father." Hiyori takes off her mask and yells in anger at Orochi while she cries tears of pain. Hiyori says, "My name is Kozuki Hiyori. Be silent, you insolent man. Even at times when I had an empty stomach and putting on broken fabric, I lived proudly to my father's name. You shouldn't be in Shogun's position even for just one day. And as your foolishness grew, so are the innocent lives perishing in vain. Orochi is very scared after Hiyori's words. Orochi says, "You're not going to do anything to me, right? Revenge isn't very popular nowadays. And even if you kill me, you have no chance of defeating Kaido." Suddenly, a little version of Kanjuro's Kazenbo returns to where Orochi and Hiyori are. Kanjuro's Kazenbo says, "Orochi-sama, I failed." Then Orochi says, "Kanjuro, you returned at the right time. This turns the tables. Burn the woman until she died." What a tragic comedy. Remains of the Kozuki, have you seen it? This is the luck of the strongest. Kanjuro's Kazenbo ignores Orochi's words, and instead of going for Hiyori, it goes for Orochi, who begins to burn violently. Hiyori looks at him still with tears in her eyes. Hiyori says, "The dawn will come." And Orochi says, "Stupid Kanjuro, what have you done? Help me." And Hiyori says, "Kozuki House always keeps its promises." Back to the roof of Onigashima, there we see again the silhouette of Luffy with the full moon in the background. Luffy says, "I feel like I could do anything I want. My heartbeat sounds so fun. This is my highest peak. This is Gear 5th. Back to the live floor, a huge blast of Conqueror's Haki comes from above. A lot of black lightnings pierce through the roof, and Kaido's subordinates begin to fall unconscious with foam at the mouth. Kaido looks worried at the roof. Kaido says, "What's up there on the roof?" In a huge double spread, we see that the roof begins to break and Luffy's arm appears from the hole. The arm is massive and it grabs Kaido's body in dragon form without difficulty. Everyone looks at the scene shocked. Luffy pulls Kaido up, Kaido's eyes popping out like a cartoon, and drags him easily to the roof. Luffy then increases his muscle mass and starts spinning wildly Kaido's body. Kaido's face again looks like a cartoon. His eyes are popping out one more time. Luffy stops spinning and starts slamming Kaido back and forth on the ground until Luffy lets him go. Kaido gets up dizzy with a bump on his head and little stars coming out of it again like a cartoon, and Luffy can't stop laughing. Kaido says, "Straw Hat, you're alive. Thank you. Bolo breath." Luffy, who has returned to his normal form, is lying on the ground laughing non-stop, but when he sees Kaido's bolo breath, he screams surprised. His eyes also pop out like a cartoon, but it's more excessive than Kaido's. Luffy acts like Jim Carrey's character in the movie The Mask. So that's what I was thinking of when I was reading this the first time. I was like, so we're just having like a full-blown Mask moment here? This is quite the shift, I'll say. I mean, of course, we've seen behavior like this in the series before. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just different, but I guess that was always Oda's intention with this huge paradigm shift in the series anyway. Luffy grabs the ground with his hands and stretches it out, causing the ground to turn into rubber. Kaido's bolo breath hits the ground, but since it's now rubber, it doesn't get destroyed and holds back the attack. Luffy changes back to his muscle form and pulls the piece of ground, causing the bolo breath to bounce back at Kaido. There's a huge explosion. We finally see Luffy's full body clearly. His physical appearance is almost the same as always, although his shirt is now white instead of black. His hair now looks like flames, and he has that vapor collar around his neck and under his armpits like in Gear 4. His eyebrows are now curled, similar to Sanji's, and the pupils of his eyes have changed. So yeah, I didn't mention this in my video yesterday, but his eyebrows are curled. I always thought that was more similar to like Sung Wukong, but it does kind of resemble like a thick version of Sanji's, which I would say gives us more insight into what's going on with Sanji, but still we can only really speculate. But as for his eyes, they look similar to like Zunisha's, Hawkeye's, Emu's, and I thought, you know, maybe that meant that they had the perpetual youth surgery performed on them. But if Luffy's eyes are like directly paralleling them, which I'm not entirely sure yet, they may or may not, but if that is the case, then I have no idea why they all have these similar eyes. And I can't even say it's because of like Mythical Zoan or anything, because all of the Mythical Zoan users don't have those eyes. Luffy laughs non-stop again as Kaido stands up. Gear 5th is officially presented. Kaido says, "I'm sorry for what happened earlier. I was stupid. I didn't want to win like that." Luffy looks at Kaido with determination and a smile on his face, and he says, "Don't mention it. Let's end this." And that's the end of the chapter. So yeah, this is for sure one of the hypest moments in the series by far. And this is like the turning point in the battle manga arc where the seemingly unbeatable big bad villain is finally getting his comeuppance from the MC getting their huge power up that we've been waiting for. And it's just like beat down time, I guess, at this point. And from this point on, it just depends on how Toriyama-esque Oda wants to get. Like, how much more can Kaido amount an offense at this point, or is it just going to be a full-blown beatdown? Kaido doesn't even come back at all. And I also thought that Kaido surely must recognize that Luffy is Joy Boy at this point, or maybe in the next chapter he will, and I wonder if he'll just bend the knee at that point. But either way, I don't think he's going to get off scot-free here. Something awful has to happen to him, so I guess we'll just see what happens. But if you liked the video, guys, please give a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.